State, call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the state calls Yahemd Yemah.
Do you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
You may be seated.
Would you state your name and spell your last name, please?
Sure. Officer Yahemd Yemah, first name Yahemd, last name Yema.
State, you may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Officer Yemah.
Good morning.
It's obvious that you're a police officer. Could you please let the jury know what agency you're employed with?
I'm currently employed with the City of Miramar Police Department
And how long have you been employed with the City of Miramar Police Department?
for the past 8 years.
Prior to being employed in the Miramar Police Department, you had any prior law enforcement experience?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
City of Hollywood Police Department.
In what capacity are you currently employed in at the City of Miramar Police Department?
I'm currently assigned to road patrol operations on day shift.
Taking you back to April 25th, 2014, in what capacity were you assigned?
I was on road patrol but working night shift.
Now, I know that you titled it Road Patrol, and I know what that means. Could you explain to the jurors what Road Patrol is?
Sure. It's we basically answer calls for service, 911 calls that come into the dispatch center, enforce traffic laws, community policing, proactive policing, that sort of thing.
Now, taking you back again to the evening of April 25th, 2014, were you working your shift that evening?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you working the night shift?
I was.
Approximately 9:52 p.m., did you respond to an area described as Claridge Drive and Terra Road?
Yes, ma'am.
And why is it that you responded to that area?
It was a call that came in through dispatch about a possible fight and someone that was possibly stabbed.
Now, describe that area for us. Is it an industrial area? Is it a highway? Is it a neighborhood? What is it?
This is a residential area, and there's a park in close by proximity to that area.
When you arrived to the area, what is it that you observed?
I observed a large crowd of people scattered, and I also observed the victim laying on the ground on the swale. There was grass. There was an individual applying pressure to his chest using a white towel, and those were my first. When I first got there, that's what I saw.
The victim that was on the ground and was having pressure applied to his chest. White, black, male, female. Can you describe that for us?
Yes, ma'am. It was a black male, approximately 6 feet in stature. He was on the ground though, but I can just relate. And he was wearing a white shirt and black pants, I believe.
When you got close to him, what is it that you did next?
I immediately started rendering aid. I used the same towel that individual was using, and I applied pressure, and I immediately called for rescue to step it up.
At the point when you arrived, were there any other officers on scene?
I believe I was the first officer on scene at that point.
Did you try to gather any information from this victim on the ground?
I did. I asked him, if he could tell me a suspect description, any vehicle description, that sort of thing, so I can put it out on the radio for other officers to be on the lookout. But he wasn't talking. He was, in shock. He was gasping for oxygen.
Can you describe to the jurors how you observed him? Did you observe any blood on him?
I did. He had the towel had blood on it. He had a white shirt which was, drenched in blood, and it was sipping through the shirt.
At some point, did you step aside from rendering aid?
I did.
And when was that?
As soon as rescue arrived on scene.
Once rescue was on scene, did you have the opportunity to talk to anyone that could provide information?
Once he was transported, I did have a conversation with the witness, main witness in this case.
And what's her name?
Wendy Gembolis.
After speaking to Wendy Gembolis, did you have an opportunity to speak to anyone else?
It was kind of chaotic. At that point, we had a lot of officers arrived on scene, detectives. I believe that was my main contact.
And so what did you do at that point after speaking to her?
We secured the crime scene. My vehicle was inside the crime scene, so I stayed right at that spot where I was. I never left.
with, but just for the jurors' edification, when you say secure the crime scene, what does that mean?
We put up the crime scene tape, made sure that nobody else came in or out of the crime scene without being logged. Make sure nobody's bringing in any foreign articles or taking out any possible evidence.
And at some point were you relieved from this duty?
At the end of the call, when everything was wrapped up, I actually left the scene with crime scene when they were finished.
And did that pretty much end your involvement in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
I have no further questions.
Defense, you may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Officer Yemah. How are you?
Good morning, ma'am.
So you're the first officer on scene, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and when you arrive on scene, you make
Yeah.
and you're actually the first officer that speaks with Ms. Jimbolis. Am I right?
I believe so.
Okay, and am I correct that the statement that you get from Ms. Jimbolis isn't recorded?
It is not.
It is not recorded, okay? But you did take notes about that statement and put them in your report, correct?
Yes.
Okay. While you're present at the scene, you don't collect any evidence, correct?
I do not.
Okay. You don't take any statements from any of the other people that are on scene?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And you were not present at the scene when the altercation took place, correct?
Correct. I was afterwards.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Briefly. You were asked if you took any other statements at the scene. Were you in a position to go outside of the area that you were in?
We had other officers at that point working at those areas. I stayed within the crime scene to make sure, like I said, securing the crime scene.
Okay. And when you say securing the crime scene, did you stay in the small area where your vehicle was parked?
Yes, ma'am, around that area.
And where you encountered the victim initially?
Yes, ma'am.
I have no further questions.
Your Honor, before the witness leaves the stand, can we just sidebar briefly?
Officer, you're excused.
Thank you, sir.
And State, call your next witness, please.
State recall Carl Schlosser.
Please swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
You may be seated. Please state your first name and last name for the record.
Detective Carl Schlosser, Miramar Police.
Would you please spell your last name for the record?
Schlossser.
Thank you. State, you may inquire.
Good morning, Detective. How are you today?
Good morning, good, thank you.
Where do you work?
Miramar Police Department,
How long have you worked with Miramar Police Department?
23 years.
What hats have you worn for the Miramar Police Department?
I worked as a patrolman, community policing. It was a street crimes unit for gangs and robberies. And then I went into the Bureau in 2010.
And when you say the Bureau, what is that?
Criminal investigations.
What areas have you participated in criminal investigations?
I worked in the property division, that was involved auto theft, petty theft, things of that nature. And then I went into special victims where I deal with sexual abuse, elderly abuse, missing persons.
Prior to becoming a law enforcement officer, did you have any training or education?
I was in the Coast Guard, but not specific law enforcement duties.
Did you complete the police academy?
Yes.
And how long was that?
It was a one-year academy in Jacksonville, Florida.
And you continue with your certifications?
Yes.
So, bringing you back to April 25th of 2014. Do you remember that day?
I do.
How were you employed on that day?
I was working in off-duty detail. That's a police detail that the city works with a business, and we provide security, roving security in that area. It's a business plaza.
Are you dressed as you are today like a detective?
No, at that time I would have been wearing a police uniform, the blue uniform, patches, name tag, a vest, and I was driving my car. It's an unmarked car.
Okay.
Did you have an occasion to respond to 8516 Claridge Drive?
I did.
About what time, if you recall?
About, I believe it was around 10:30, if I could review the record. Yeah, I responded to a call with a stabbing. I was close.
Hold on. Sustained.
And how far away from the location were you?
Less than a mile.
Do you know who called you to the scene?
I responded because I was so close, and I met with, I believe it was Sergeant George at the scene.
And at the scene, what was your first responsibility?
I was asked to meet with the witness, the young lady in this case, and I also met with Mr. McMath, of Corey, his first name.
And the young lady in this case, do you recall her name?
Wendy.
And when you spoke to her, was that recorded?
Yes.
Did you tell her it was being recorded?
I did not.
Why not?
There was no expectation of privacy. Sometimes when you interview people on the street, you record it. It wasn't an interview. I knew there was going to be an additional interview with the detectives in the case, and the same with Mr. McMath.
So you said you also spoke with Mr. McMath. Do you know who you spoke to first?
Wendy.
And do you recall about how long you spoke with her?
About 20 to 30 minutes. I have to review the recording.
And you also spoke with Mr. McMath after, correct?
Yes.
And during the course of that conversation with Mr. McMath, did you observe Mr. McMath to have a cell phone?
He did, yes.
And were you able to review the cell phone records in this case?
I did.
Did you, during the course of your statement, you have Mr. McMath call you?
He did. I asked him to, I wanted his cell phone number. What I did was I had him call my cell phone that I was carrying, and I confirmed that the call went through.
And do you recall at what time that was?
I don't.
Is there anything that would refresh your memory?
Yes, the call records.
May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Just if you look silently to yourself, the highlighted row.
Yes.
Looking at that, does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, ma'am.
And what time was that at?
22:36, which is 10:36 p.m.
Have you informed Mr. McMath that the individual, the deceased, had succumbed to his injuries at that point?
I did not. I didn't know at that time.
Had you told Ms. Gambolis?
No.
When you spoke to her? And did you see Mr. McMath make that phone call?
I did.
And did you see on your cell phone the number 305-300-8683?
At that time, yes.
And you observed Mr. McMath make that phone call to your cell phone?
Yes.
As the investigation progressed, did you have any further involvement?
There was a tag, a partial tag given by Wendy. It was 3 characters. I researched that in our record system. It's kind of a very vague search, but there was no involvements with a vehicle that color. It was believed to be a tan or beige colored vehicle. I didn't come up with any results on that.
As you were not assigned to the Crimes Against Persons unit, were you assigned to be the lead detective in this case?
No.
After doing the research regarding the potential partial tag, did you have any other involvement?
No. I did provide the cell phone that Wendy had from the now victim, and that was given to Detective Zeller.
So the cell phone in question was given to you,
Yes.
and then you provided it to Detective Zeller?
Yes.
One moment, Henry.
Yes.
Detective Schlosser, is that your name
It is.
on this? And what is in that?
Actually, I did not package this, but this is the cell phone that was provided to Detective Zeller.
Nothing further at this time.
Defense, you may inquire.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, Detective.
Good morning.
When you arrived at the scene, so if the call to Mr. McMath was at 10:36 p.m., about what time do you think you actually arrived at the scene?
Obviously, before that, I would have to, being that I interviewed Wendy and a partial interview with him or conversation, I would have to look at the dispatch records, and I don't have a copy of that.
Okay.
Within an hour, roughly, at that time.
Okay. It's dark out, right?
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't raining or anything like that?
No.
It was a normal, hot South Florida night?
Yes.
Can you tell me one way or another whether there are any street lights in that neighborhood?
There's a street light at Terra and Miramar Parkway, Terra Road.
Okay.
That's where the cars were parked.
There's a street light right there at the intersection?
I believe so, yes.
Did you actually go over to that intersection and see any of the evidence there?
I didn't observe any evidence. I parked on the opposite side, roughly, of that location on the roadway with other emergency vehicles, and then I interviewed Wendy closer to where Mr. McMath lives.
I want to talk about that interview with Ms. Gambolas. That took place at her car, is that correct?
No, it was on the corner. I don't know near whose car it was, but it wasn't, because her car was part of the scene, so I wouldn't be standing in there talking to her.
Okay. When you arrived, her car was still at the scene itself, at Terra Road and Miramar
I
Parkway?
believe so, yeah.
Okay. Did you ever see it moved from that location?
I didn't.
And you spoke with Ms. Gambolas. She was cooperative with you?
Yeah, she was upset, visibly shaken, as I mentioned in my deposition, just like in shock, so to speak.
You didn't get the feeling like she was trying to evade you or try to hide anything from you?
No.
When you spoke with her, am I correct that at no point did she ever tell you that the passenger walked towards Mr. Knight?
She told me that he exited the vehicle and a fight ensued.
That Mr. Knight exited the vehicle, correct?
No. Yeah, the deceased approached the car. He said he got out. He said, "Wait here," something to that effect. He approached the vehicle with the two alleged in the car, and they had a minute chat, and then the passenger exited the vehicle and a fight ensued.
She never told you that the passenger walked towards Mr. Knight, is that
No,
correct?
correct.
She never told you that Mr. Knight tried to shake the passenger's hand, is that correct?
I don't recall anything about that now.
She never told you anything about Mr. Knight having a red Solo cup, is that correct?
No.
She never told you anything. Did she ever tell you how it was that Mr. Knight ended up on top of the passenger inside the passenger seat?
She did tell me that happened.
She told you that happened?
Yes.
That Mr. Knight was on top of the passenger in the passenger seat?
Yes.
Did she ever tell you how that happened?
They were fighting, and it wound up that way. That was my understanding.
Okay, but she didn't give you any details as to the mechanism of how Mr. Knight ends up in the passenger seat, correct?
No.
And she told you when Mr. Knight was in the passenger seat, the passenger was on his back, lying on the passenger seat itself, correct?
Yes.
Am I correct that she never told you that she had seen that beige vehicle prior to the incident itself?
She told me she had not seen that vehicle. I asked her specifically.
Am I correct that Ms. Gambolas never told you that they waited for several minutes behind the car before Mr. Knight got out?
I did not get that from her, any timeline.
Am I correct that Ms. Gambolas never told you that the passenger pointed a knife at Mr. Knight?
No, she did not tell me that.
And am I correct that at no point did Ms. Gambolas ever tell you that she observed Mr. Knight knocked to the ground and beaten while and kicked while on the ground?
No.
I want to talk about the conversation with Mr. McMath. Mr. McMath was the person that actually ended up, that stayed or lived at that house there, correct?
Yes.
The house itself, Judge, may I approach the...
Yeah, you guys can just approach. You don't need to keep asking all the time.
Thank you so much, Judge. The house itself of where Mr. McMath...
See it.
Can he get down,
Yes.
Judge? Can you point it out for me on the map, please?
This would be the house here.
Okay, so it's the one right there on the corner of Terra Road and Clare.
Yes.
Thank you so much. When you interviewed Mr. McMath, where did that interview take place?
In front of this house.
That interview was also recorded, correct?
Yes.
Am I correct that when you interviewed Mr. McMath, when you interviewed Mr. McMath, did he appear to be under the influence of alcohol or drugs?
No.
Am I correct that despite this person having just been stabbed outside his house, Mr. McMath did not seem very concerned about what had happened?
He did not.
In fact, he seemed to you like he could care less what had gone on.
That would be fair to say, yes.
And in contrast to Ms. Gambolas, when you spoke with Mr. McMath, he did not seem like he was very forthcoming or eager to help you. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in fact, in the conversation you had with him, he was not particularly helpful. Correct?
Correct.
You end up collecting Mr. Knight's cell phone from Ms. Gambolas?
Yes.
Correct? What is the purpose of collecting that cell phone?
He's a victim of a crime. I understand there was a stabbing involved. It would have been something they would want to review later.
There could be something relevant in those
Yes.
in those calls or
Yes.
texts. You never know what's going to be in there.
Yes.
Fair? Thank you, Court. Did I have no further questions?
Redirect.
Wendy was visibly upset. Can you please describe a little bit more?
Just wait for an answer. You swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes. You may be seated. Just state your first name and last name once you sit it, and spell your last name. My name is Pierre Merone, spelled M-E-R-O-N-E.
Good afternoon, Mr. Marone. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good. I want to direct your attention back to April 25th of 2014. Do you recall that date?
Certainly.
Did you at that time live at 8520 Clarence Drive?
Yes, I did.
And would you mind pointing out on the map next to you where your house is on that map? Please step down. Thank you.
Because this is my house. Could it be?
And so, if I may,
This is Terra Road. You're the second house on the south side of the street?
Junction Lee could be.
Okay, no, he already answered it.
So,
Claridge? Okay, I'm on Claridge, right. And
and Mr. Martinez, do you have a circular driveway or a straight driveway?
I have a straight driveway.
Are you the first house in from the corner?
I'm the second house in the morning.
So is it fair to say that this is your house?
Yes, this is my house.
Okay. And Mr. Martinez, you can have an seat. Thank you. Mr. Martinez, at the time of April 25th of 2014, did you maintain a surveillance system at your home?
Yes, I did.
Were you asked to provide video footage from your surveillance system?
Yes, I did.
Did you provide that footage to law enforcement?
Yes, I did.
Did you install that surveillance system?
Yes, I did.
Did you operate and maintain it?
Yes, I did.
Are the time and date that is reflected on the video accurate?
Yes.
Did you remove or edit or tamper in any way with the footage you gave to law enforcement?
No, not at all.
The footage in question, there are 3 cameras on the front part of your house. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Can you please tell the jury what 3 cameras are on the front of your house?
One camera is facing, it's an opponent facing the east side of the Tower Road, of the street of Tower Road. The other camera faces the house in front of the Claridge Drive.
Okay.
And the third camera faces as well the east side of the house.
So I'm clear, there's one that faces due north above the garage,
That's correct.
one that faces more in an easterly direction towards Terra Road from your front porch,
That is correct.
and one that faces northeast from the corner of your house.
Northeast, correct, yes.
Okay. And I'm now approaching the witness. Counsel previously shown. Mr. Martin, previously showing you what's been previously marked as states U for identification purposes only. Do you recognize that disc?
Yes.
How do you recognize that disc?
It has a signature of it.
Did you have an opportunity to review the contents of that disc?
Yes, I did.
Does that fairly and accurately represent the footage that you gave to law enforcement from
Yes.
April 25th of 2014?
Yes, that is accurate.
And any changes, additions, deletions?
No, not at all.
Here at this time, the state would request to admit states UN as states 1.
No objection.
So admitted.
And Your Honor, the state would request if defense counsel would like to question the witness prior to the viewing of the evidence,
No.
you. Oh, okay. That's right. Can I have another one? Sure. Thank you.
When it comes on, hit the lights. Might be easier to see.
Mr. Moreau, to clarify for the jury, does your surveillance have any audio?
No.
Mr. Moreau, can you see the footage that we're looking at right now?
I can see now.
Which camera are we watching at the moment?
as the front camera, the one that faces northwest.
And that is above your driveway?
That's correct.
The vehicles that we can see in the driveway of your house, do you recognize those two vehicles?
Yes.
And what are they?
They are mine. One is a Jeep, the other one is a pickup truck.
And the Jeep, is that the one closest in the frame?
That is correct, yes.
And the pickup truck, is that your vehicle as well?
That's my vehicle as well, yes.
Were you home on this evening?
I'm sorry?
Do you remember if you were home on this evening?
I believe I was home.
Did you ever go outside at any point on this evening?
No, I did not.
Mr. Merone, do you know who lives, the house is to the right in this image?
Yes,
And who is that lives there?
it's Mr. McMahon.
Thank you. Mr. Merone, the light-colored car in the top right part of the frame, do you recognize that vehicle?
No.
Is that a vehicle that you've seen before?
No, not that I know of. Excuse me.
Mr. Merone,
Yes.
this is the view that faces east.
That is correct.
And you can step down for a minute to ask you a couple of questions. Is this the same Jeep we saw in the north-facing view?
Yes.
Do you know if this is your trash can?
Yes, it is.
And the house just the other side of that, whose house is that?
Right across of here.
Just east, the other side of the trash can.
That's Mr. McMahon, 2000.
Oh. And Mr. Merone, I'm going to skip ahead about 8 minutes to 9:47 on the tape. Mr. Merone, all the cameras run through the same system,
Yes.
and all the times are the same on each camera.
Yes.
Sir, would you like a glass of water? I noticed you've been clearing your throat. Would you like a little water?
I appreciate it, yes.
Mr. Merone, this video stops at 9:52 and 15 seconds in the afternoon of April 25th of 2014, according to the timestamp. Is that the accurate time?
Yes.
Now for the final view. And Mr. Merone, this is the one from the northwest corner of your home facing northeast.
That is correct.
Towards Claridge. Can you show us on here where the pickup truck is that was in the first footage? Right there, at the top, almost hiding behind the timestamp on it. Is that correct?
Right.
I'm going to fast forward again to 9:47. Thank you, sir. You can resume your seat. Thank you, Mr. Brown. I have no other questions. Defense counsel is asking that.
Defense?
Good afternoon, Mr. Merone.
Good afternoon.
Are there any camera angles that are on your house that we didn't see today?
The ones in the back, yeah.
Anything that is looking at there's your house, right?
That's good.
Any of these camera angles that you can see the intersection between Terra Road and Miramar Parkway?
Is there any other ones?
Is there any cameras that can see this intersection?
Yes.
There is?
Yes.
Okay. Did the police get those from you?
Yes.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen those?
Which one?
Have you seen those angles that show this intersection?
Yes,
here?
I have.
Okay. That night, did you see a fight that night?
No, I did not.
Did you see any altercation whatsoever?
I did not.
Okay. Have you seen any video of any fight?
No.
Okay. I think that's it. Thank you, Judge.
Redirect.
Mr. Brown, you're saying that there are video that shows from the back of your house, through the house behind you, through the trees, to Miramar Parkway and Sarah?
No.
No, there is not.
No.
So you were incorrect when you just answered defense counsel.
Well, I didn't quite understand what I was saying. I said I have cameras in the back of my house.
You have cameras in the back.
That's correct.
Do they show your backyard?
They show my backyard.
Do they show the backyard of the house behind you?
No, they don't.
Do they show past the house behind you?
No, they don't.
Do you have any other footage that was given to police that's not, you did not show
No,
today?
they don't.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you, sir. You could step down. Before you call your next witness, can we do something with this? Because if you're introducing evidence, it's going to create problems getting to the clerk.
Sure, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, State, call your next witness.
It's called Lisa Cruz.
Do you swear affirmatively will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. You're going to see the truth? Sorry. Say your first name and last name. Say your last name for the record.
Sure, it's Lisa Cruz, C-R-U-Z.
State.
Good afternoon, Ms. Cruz. How are you today?
Good, and you?
Very well. How are you employed?
I'm with the Miramar Police Department in the crime scene unit
How long have you been in the crime scene unit?
for about 6 or 7 years.
What are your tasks in the crime scene unit?
To collect evidence, document it, put it into evidence, photograph, we collect swabs, we take video, do other things.
What training do you have for that position?
Well, I had a 40-hour in-house training, as well as I had to take courses in death investigations, trajectory shootings, different.
Do you have educational background before you joined the Miramar Police Department?
I have a bachelor's degree.
And Ms. Cruz, on April 25th of 2014, were you employed by the Miramar Police Department?
Yes,
And in what capacity?
as a crime scene technician.
Did you have an occasion to respond to 8516 Claridge Drive?
Yes.
What were your tasks when you arrived there that evening?
Well, Melanie Caluso, the other crime scene technician, had originally been called out, and then I got called out to assist her with the scene.
Do you recall about what time you arrived on scene?
I believe it was around 10 o'clock at night.
And what city is 8516 Clarence Drive in?
Miramar,
What county?
Broward County,
And what state?
Florida.
While you were on scene, did you make any videos of the crime scene?
Yes, they did.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm going to show you it's been previously marked as States A for identification purposes. Do you recognize that?
Yes, my initials are on it.
And had you a chance to review it before you came to court today?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that fairly and accurately represent the video that you made on the night of April 25th, 2014?
Yes.
Here at this time, the state would request to admit as States 2 and publish to the jury.
No objections.
Okay.
Okay.
Lights.
Ms. Cruz, could you describe for the jury what direction you were walking at this point in the video?
That would have been southbound,
And what is the road that we see crossways with traffic going?
Miramar Parkway.
Could you explain to the jury what type of lighting equipment you use on the camera?
We have like an extra, like an added attachment that you can put onto the camera. It's got like LED lights on it.
Other than that light, does that accurately reflect the lighting conditions at the intersection that evening?
Yes.
Pause the video right here. This is at 9 minutes and 7 seconds into it. Ms. Cruz, are you trained in collecting evidence at a crime scene?
Yes.
Does that include looking for items you suspect to be blood?
Yes.
there's a lot of stains on this pavement. Did any of those appear to you to be potential blood stains?
No.
These shiny items that we see here,
Yes.
what were those?
It looked like broken pieces of glass.
And prior to making this video, do you speak to any of the other officers on scene?
We get briefed on what happened.
Are you instructed rather, to take any statements from witnesses?
No.
Did you speak to any witnesses before this video?
No.
And CSI Cruz, after you created this video, did you assist with the rest of the documentation of the crime scene?
Yes.
Did you collect any evidence yourself?
No.
Why not?
Because I was just there to assist, and we assisted with the panel scanner, and that was it.
You said pano scan. What is that?
It's a 360 camera, and it's pretty cool in the sense that you can see like an entire room 360 degrees. You can move up and down.
So you assisted with that, but CSI Peluso actually put it together.
Correct. Because we take initial scans, and then she will then go back and create like a clip where you can actually see it, 360.
Okay.
It's like if you were to go to like a realtor and see an apartment, you can see everything.
And CSI Cruz, after April 25th of 2014, what was your next involvement in this case?
I went with Peluso again to assist with processing a vehicle.
Watch the lights though, please. Thank you.
Thank you. And so you assisted with processing the vehicle?
Yes.
And what vehicle was that?
I forgot the vehicle make and model, but we went to the West Substation, and we met Detective Hector Birchman there, and that's when he showed us where the vehicle was parked and asked us to.
And CSI Cruz, after you created this video, did you assist with the rest of the documentation of the crime scene?
Yes.
Did Did you collect any evidence yourself?
No,
Why not?
because I was just there to assist, and we assisted with the panel scan, and that was it.
You said pano scan. What is that?
It's a 360 camera, and it's pretty cool in the sense that you can see like an entire room 360 degrees. You can move up and down.
So you assisted with that, but CSI Peluso actually put it together.
Correct, because we take initial scans, and then she will then go back and create like a clip where you can actually see it, 360.
Okay.
It's like if you were to go to like a realtor and see an apartment, you can see everything.
And CSI Cruz, after April 25th of 2014, what was your next involvement in this case?
I went with Peluso again to assist with processing a vehicle.
Lights,
Watch the light stuff, please. Thank you.
Thank you. And so you assisted with processing the vehicle?
Yes.
And what vehicle was that?
I forgot the vehicle make and model, but we went to the West Substation, and we met Detective Birchman there, and that's when he showed us where the vehicle was parked and asked us to.
Question calls for hearsay.
Named.
Were you the first individual to inspect that car from Miramar Police Department?
Objection
No.
calls for hearsay.
Judge, you noticed it?
No, overruled.
How do you know you were not the first person to look at it?
Because I was told by Detective Birchman.
Hold on.
Sustained.
Without going into what you were told, what did you see when you looked at the vehicle that gave you an idea that somebody else had already processed it?
Sustained.
Without going into what you were told, what did you see when you looked at the vehicle that gave you an idea that somebody else had already processed it?
It had markers on it where we document evidence, like number markers and little rulers.
Okay. When you documented and went into the car for the second time, what evidence did you collect?
I didn't collect any evidence on that scene, on that vehicle.
Did you take
But
notice?
I assisted Melanie with anything that she needed to take from the vehicle, to collect from the vehicle.
Were latent prints checked? Was that when that was done?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall on what date that was?
No. Might have been May 4th, I think.
And is there anything that would refresh your recollection as to that?
My report.
And the approach?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, May 5th.
Reviewing your report, did that refresh your recollection as to the date?
Yes,
And so what date did you then go and look at the vehicle?
it was May 5th.
And other than photographing the fingerprint lift, did you have any other involvement in the case after that date?
No, ma'am.
And 1 moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Nothing further at this time.
Cross.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello.
I want to start with the back at the scene on the Terra Road and Miramar Parkway. We were watching your video. It's very dark. Is that how it was there that night?
Yes.
You've got a little light on your camera, I guess, or in your hand or something along those lines?
It attaches to the top of the camera.
Okay.
It's
so
about this big.
So that light helps us to see some of the things that we're looking at, correct? Not any street lights on that street, is that correct?
There are some on Miramar Parkway.
On Miramar Parkway?
Correct.
On Terra Road? I mean, I didn't see any in the video, so I was...
Yeah, it was
there
very
any
dark.
Any that we didn't see? Are there any streetlights that were there that we don't see in the video?
I can't recall off the top of my head, but I remember that little stretch was very dark.
Okay. That stop sign there, Terra Road and Miramar Parkway, I didn't see any streetlight there at that stop sign. Is there any there that we don't see in the video?
No.
So your job is basically to video document this scene as best you can, correct?
Basically.
Okay. And so you're going to videotape every possible thing that you think might remotely be relevant with the limited knowledge you have at that point. Is that fair? Okay. And so to that effect, obviously one of the main, I see kind of two sets of main, I guess, pieces of evidence. One is there's some stuff in the grass with some blood on it, correct?
Yes.
And then there's these items to the, I've got my directions mixed up, to the south of the stop sign going towards Miramar Parkway, correct? All right. And so I want to talk about those items for a second. We see them in the video. There is a blue hat, correct?
Yes.
There is broken pieces of glass that appear to be a beer bottle, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then there's also a $20 bill, correct?
Yes.
All right. The broken pieces of glass, am I correct that there's also a spout, I guess, of the beer bottle itself?
Yes.
Okay. And it's, they're laying on the ground, if I may. Here's Terra Road, here's Miramar Parkway. There's going to be a stop sign kind of right here on this corner, correct? Yeah. And the those items are actually 15 to 20 feet to the south of that stop sign as you're coming out on the Miramar Parkway, correct?
They're by the stop sign, correct?
Okay. And they're on the, am I correct that they are right, if a vehicle is there, they're right at outside of where the passenger side of a vehicle would
Judge
be.
can cause for speculation.
She was there, Judge.
If a vehicle should
Well, wait, we don't have speaking arguments here. At this point, the objection is sustained. Go ahead, counsel, you may continue.
Thank you, Judge. If there is a vehicle that is getting ready, that is driving south, right, and is getting ready to turn onto Miramar Parkway,
Sure.
so it's on the right side of the street, like it should be,
Yeah.
and it's parked or stopped, I guess, either at the stop sign or in front of that stop sign. If there's a vehicle there, am I correct that those items, the beer bottle, the stuff, the hat, the $20 bill, situationally, they're going to be on the passenger side of where that vehicle would be?
They would, yes.
Thank you. I want to talk about the bloody clothes, like shoes and stuff that we saw in there as well. Can you tell me the distance between the stop sign, the Terra Road and Miramar Parkway, and where those items are found?
I can't.
Can you generally point out where on the map, because it's hard to tell from the video,
Sure.
Can you generally point out where on the map those items are found?
It would be right here.
Okay. So you're pointing essentially in the, I don't know if this is the front or the
That would
side
be
yard.
the east side of the residence.
Okay. And that's the residence right at the corner of Claridge and Terra Road.
Correct.
Thank you. Are you familiar with luminol testing?
Yes.
What is luminol?
It basically, it will highlight blood, presence of blood.
Okay, so if you swab an item and then treat it with this liquid substance luminol, if it highlights, then that's an indication that there's blood there. Is that correct?
Correct.
The stains on the ground, right where the blood, right where the beer bottle and the hat are found. Did you swab those all at all to check for luminol?
I did not. But we do have a test, a presumptive test that we can do.
Okay, did you do that?
I did not do that.
So as you sit here now, I know you indicated on direct that it didn't appear to be blood to you. You didn't do any testing to confirm it. Is that correct?
No, I did not.
You, in the video, you walk essentially up and down Terra Road. I don't see anything else in the video that you highlight. Is there anything else that you saw, anything of evidentiary value, even that you thought might be of evidentiary value, in the roadway of Terra Road itself?
No.
Did you observe a red Solo cup in the roadway of Terra Road itself?
No.
Did you observe a red Solo cup at any point while you were out there, a Solo cup on the ground?
No.
Okay. I'm going to shift now. We were talking about the night of April 25th. I want to shift, I guess, forward to May 5th. End up getting called to the Miramar substation, I guess, where to help process a vehicle. Is that correct?
Yes.
That vehicle was a gold Chevy Impala.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. And who's there? Detective Bertrand is there?
Yes.
Melanie Peluso is there?
Correct.
Is Ashley Clay there?
No.
Okay. So when you're there, it's Peluso and Bertrand. Anybody else?
That's it.
Okay. Did you indicated that you assisted Melanie Peluso in getting latent fingerprints?
Yes.
Okay. The latent fingerprints that you assisted her with, were they inside the vehicle or were they out from outside the vehicle or both?
If I recall correctly, it was from inside the vehicle.
Okay. Did you and Ms. Peluso ever attempt to dust for fingerprints on the passenger door in and around the handle on the outside of the vehicle?
Don't recall.
If you had, well, the prints that you get inside the vehicle, what ends up happening to those?
We collect them and then we send them off to the Broward County Sheriff's Office. They're allowed and they analyze the prints for us.
And so if you had obtained fingerprints from the passenger door handle area, the same thing would have been done with those?
Yes.
That's part of your procedure?
Yes.
Okay. But as you sit here now, you can't tell me whether you and Ms. Peluso attempted to get any fingerprints from that passenger door.
I do not recall.
You're helping Ms. Peluso get fingerprints from inside the vehicle. Obviously, you had to be able to view inside the vehicle. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you get a good look of what was inside the vehicle?
We had to, take a look at it, yes.
Okay. Am I correct that there were a significant number of blood stains on the passenger seat inside that vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. There were blood stains on the, backrest, correct?
Yeah, it's hard for me to remember, but yeah, there was blood in the vehicle.
Okay. There was also blood stains on the, door side of the passenger side itself, correct? Kind of where the seat belt is,
On
correct?
the exterior of the vehicle, there was, yes.
Okay. The interior of the vehicle, I mean.
Oh, okay.
There's blood on the...
There was blood, yes.
Okay. And am I also correct there was actually blood on the center console of the vehicle?
I don't recall.
That's okay. Am I also correct that there is broken glass, beer bottle glass, on the actual passenger seat?
I don't recall.
If I showed you a picture from inside, would that refresh your recollection? So having looked at that picture, does that refresh your recollection as to whether there was glass on the inside, on the passenger seat inside the car?
Yes.
And it was glass from a beer bottle, correct? Appeared to be?
Appeared to be, yes.
I have nothing to say. Thank you, Judge.
Redirect?
CSI Cruz, is there a good surface to obtain prints from versus a bad surface to obtain prints from?
Yes, there is.
Please explain to the jury a little bit about what things you look for taking prints.
Okay, so for example, like this chair here, it's a material surface, it's porous, so it'd be very difficult. Like I couldn't lift prints off of that. However, if it's a smooth, non-porous surface, it's easy to lift prints off of that, like a window pane or even a car surface.
And what about the size of the surface?
That too. Your fingertips are what, leave fingerprints. And so if it's a very small surface, such as this little tip, it'd be very difficult for us to get fingerprints off of something like that.
And so you were, at the time that you went into the car, May 5th of 2014, have you had any contact with an individual by the name of Armando Baptista?
No.
Had you any contact with an individual by the name of Demetrius Elder?
No.
Did you later on have contact with either of those individuals?
No.
No further questions, ma'am.
Thank you. You can step down.
The next witness is rather lengthy. I don't know if you're under
I was just going to ask you the same question. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, since the next witness is lengthy, let's take we've been going at it for about an hour and a half. Let's take about a 10-15 minute break. Come back about 5:03, okay? And you know the routine. Don't talk about case. If you bump into them, they're going to ignore you.